What's going on, guys? It's your boy Anvil Head, and I'm back with Sarah. What's going on, Sarah?
Hello. Hey,
So,
nothing much. Got some
so
moans in my mind.
I got you. So we're gonna do something a little bit different today. Today's gonna be more of an analysis video. So, this is gonna be more or less like a podcast kind of thing. So you can just like put it on in your background and just listen in. But yeah, we're gonna be going over the SPL ORAS replays and also metagame trends and that sort of stuff. So stay tuned in, and yeah, we're gonna get started. So um, we do have like a table of contents kind of thing going on. So I'll put this in the description, so there'll be timestamps for each section coming forward. So first section, we're gonna be talking about usage, like what mons are being used a lot, what mons have been rising, and then some mons that haven't been used as much or are falling out of favor. The next section is going to be like metagame trends, like stuff you've seen, like a lot of sand teams, a lot of offense, deterrent mons, and we're also going to theorize and speculate some other possibly good mons that could work in this metagame. And then the final two areas are just going to be us talking about players, like how well everyone's doing, and possibly some hype matchups coming up for the remainder of the season. And the final step is more or less geared toward newer players, and we're going to be giving out some tips for newer players, how they can improve their game by watching these high-level replays. So stay tuned in for that. And yeah, like I said before, we'll put in some timestamps, so you guys don't have to spend time searching through the video for different parts. So yeah. So going on to the first section, we're gonna look at the top current mons. So compared to 2020, there is not much of a change going on in the top three, at least. Like Superior, Clefable, and Excadrill remain the top mons to be used. Excadrill in particular has been used even more. That's because primarily it is the best hazard remover in the game, and that thing is like gonna be an entirely different video. But yeah, Drill is able to come in on rocks and still heal up. Able to spin versus a lot. It has decent bulk, so it can switch into a lot of mods. It can also function as a stealth rocker too, so it is really nice in terms of roll compression. It does a lot. It's also electric immunity. So you got anything to say about Drill?
But I just don't like it. I'm just not a big fan of rapid spinning. And anybody who's seen me play tournament games knows I very rarely bring hazard removal. So, mine that's mainly good for its hazard removal. Not a big fan of, but I do like it on sand. If you're using it just offensively, and maybe having rapid spin incidentally on it, then I'm cool with that. But just using it just to throw it on the team, I don't know. That's just my bias, but it's a good mon for most other people, and players that are better than me. So what do I know?
Yeah, true. That's also another good point you brought up. It is being used a lot on sand recently, and it is a good means of checking a lot of offensive threats in the metagame too. So yeah, really a lot of roles you can fill: a spinner, a rocker, sand sweeper, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's most likely the reason why it is cemented at the top currently. And then followed by that, we have some more utility-based mons in Clefable and Superior. So both these mons have the ability to set up. For Superior, it's a bit easier, but Clef can also function as like a stealth rocker. It can also knock off, Thunder Wave, that sort of stuff too. SaeraT in particular, as we've seen last year, SaeraT has been used primarily for screens, but it also has gained some other uses as just like an annoying mon that can just click knock and disrupt you with your glare and that sort of stuff. So definitely a lot of utility in terms of using those two. Major difference we've seen is that Latias has been used a lot in 2020, but now it's mainly replaced by Tornadus Therian and Rotomosh. So in terms of Tornadus Therian, I mean, it's always a good mon to slap on a team. It's a good pivot, especially in terms of using bulky offense. Knockoff is really nice versus light screen, like the knockoff, light clay, that sort of stuff. And in general, like it's really good at forcing switches versus a Pokemon like Keldeo and other special attackers like Latios and uh, Keldeo, that sort of thing. Rotom is a notable one because I think as of the previous SPL, the Rotoms we've been seeing have been getting faster and faster. And I think you
Yep.
guys have seen that in like previous replays versus I think there was one replay where Rotom was like outspeeding a Manaphy and it wasn't Scarf. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's
wild.
yeah, and I think in general, I think Scarf Rotom is used way more than it used to be previously, and I think that's for a good reason. Not only can it cripple certain defensive ones with Trick, but it can also act as like a really good basically sweeping the turn by setting up Trick like a Scarf just
Tricking
underway.
Twist Scarf. Yeah.
Yeah, so
E-Wave, yep.
it is a really good
Having a
disruptor.
really fast volt switch is really nice. You don't really see too many fast volt switchers
Yeah,
besides like
that is true.
the rare Mega Manetric. Oh my god, can't say that. Raikou in the zone, and that's really it. But having a mon that's actually like good defensively, fast, doesn't take up a mega slot, and has like all the utility like you mentioned with Trick and Wisp, P-Wave, sometimes Toxic if you're a scumbag. It can be pretty valuable. Oh, and you cripple, even if it's not a setup, you could cripple like something like Clefable or Chansey perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, by going the scarf route, you really do stop a lot of BS like Manaphy and a lot of offensive mons you see on HO, like I guess basically Manaphy. I get there's some other mons you can like chip down with Volt Switch, but yeah, just being able to get a scarf Volt Switch off versus Manaphy is really nice to have. Um,
Mm-hmm. Also
and then
Scarf Wisp, like Metagross, really good.
yeah, that too. Yeah. Next mon is Zapdos. So if I told you that Zapdos would be one of the top mons in the tier in 2021, would you have believed me, Sarah?
Wait, I like Zapdos.
I do like Zapdos, and I think like
Not this one. This one I don't like, but
the
it's been pretty
statics.
popular. Yeah, that one. Man, you go on first about it, and I'll talk
Yeah,
about
I
it.
think Zapdos like I don't when webs were popular, I guess it was like a really good mon to use because it stops stuff like Scissor. Um, but yeah, the static zaps that we've seen, I think that's been more of an offensive deterrent sort of thing because basically what happened was that last year with all the whole screens and web stuff, people started using offensive like fake out mons like Medicham and Lopunny. So I feel like people are using Zapdos more now as a means of like deterring fake out spam, I suppose. And then yeah, I mean it kind of makes sense in ORAS because in ORAS paralysis is broken, being 1/4. So
Oh yeah, best move in the game. T-Wave, regular.
and also like with Tornado's Tyrion's dominance and versus like a lot of screens teams, it's also a good deterrent of U-turn and knockoff, that sort of stuff too, to punish it. And yeah, with Volt Switch and basically electric, fire, ice coverage, it really hits everything. There's only a few mods that I know that can safely switch into Zapdos. That's like stuff like Venusaur and Hippowdon and that sort of thing. But everything else I can just Volt Switch off on. Um, yeah, and then T-Tar. Well, T-Tar is kind of paired with Excadrill at this point because if you're using, yeah, I think every T-Tar we've seen has been paired with Excadrill, so that's the reason why I think it's been used there.
Yep.
Lopunny, as like we said before, that's more of an offensive deterrent mon. Like with fake out spam, it's good versus screens like stalling out those type of turns.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'd say it's more like an offensive turn, but yeah, it's still solid mon nonetheless. Slowbro, I mean like Slowbro, similar to Zapdos, it's like there to switch into stuff like uh Drill and Lopunny and that sort of stuff. Though,
Yeah, it's a great. So
yeah,
it's a great pairing with the best mons in the tier. Like Drill doesn't like ground, it doesn't like water, it doesn't like fighting, and Slowbro either resists all those or usually doesn't take much from ground attacks.
Yeah.
Oh, and resist fire too, so it's great pairing with that. It goes well with a Clefable. All them they can kind of switch back and forth.
That's true. That's
Clef
true.
doesn't care about hazards. Slowbro has their generator, so it's nice. It's a nice core. Your turn tier. Just use those three. You probably have like half a good team already.
That
Just
is
throw
true.
other stuff on.
Yeah. And then I guess for the remainder of the mons on the list, we're gonna get into those later, like Gastro and Bulk and Manaphy and stuff. But yeah, if you guys are wondering like what mons are currently being used, we have a link to ORAS OU viability ranking. So that's kind of what we mean by stuff that people have been prepping for, like versus screens and stuff. So you'll probably see stuff like Metagame and Lopunny up there, and also the top four mons basically on this list.
But you
Also,
don't see much metagame in tournaments though, which is funny. So stuff on the ladder isn't necessarily always good in tournament.
that
But
is true.
metagame, it's very easy to prep for. Protect like or just slow bro Mew. It's not very not that big of a challenge.
True, true.
But I just have like some notes on some of the things we mentioned. So like for the Zapdos,
Mhm.
like I think people are really taking advantage of like its coverage. So kind of like um it's actually like one of the few electric types that has like good coverage. Heat Wave, Electric Stab and HP Ice, naturally
Mhm.
great. Typing, flying and electric is great defensively. Naturally good bulk, great speed. So I think people have been really experimenting with not just running physically defensive Zapdos, and we've been seeing more just offensive ones without defog because people have
That
just
is
been
true.
bringing so much extra drill. They don't need to rely on Zapdos for hazard removal.
Mhm.
And T-Tar, I think another thing about T-Tar, it pairs well with extra drill, of course. Also, it can be anything. It could be Scarf, it could be Tilde, it could be Banded, it could be Mega, Chopple. There's a
Mhm.
lot of unpredictability with it.
That
I
is
think that's
true.
also why it's a great pick. Great move pool, of course. You know, kind of has everything it needs for the most part. And yeah, that's it. I don't want to say too much more because I know we're going to get into some of these ones more later.
Yeah, yeah, true. So, coming up, so next section we're mostly going to be talking about rising Pokemon that have been used a bit more in this metagame and coming up to this SPL. So Zapdos, Sarah mostly went over that recently, and yeah, it is really a no BS kind of mon. Like it stops a lot of offense. Its coverage options are absolutely great, and I think people have been using a bit more of a like faster timid Zapdos to help with Manaphy and stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, people have definitely been using different sorts of sets, so it's definitely a mon that can come in like various forms and can do a lot of things for a team, depending on the spread and the set that is. And
It's very flexible.
mhm. And then next mon we have Lopunny, and on a similar note, like because Lopunny has been used so much, people have been using Zapdos and Slowbro more. But yeah, with the Lopunny, the main deal with that is basically stopping offense. So back when screens and webs were popular, Lopunny was one of the few megas that could still deal with those sort of things, being able to fake out stuff like Shuckle, and then also selling out screen turns with that sort of stuff. And then it had a really good matchup versus offensive mons because I mean it can hit decently hard, and as well like those offensive mons are usually frail, so not like balanced. They're not like as bulky as most balanced mons like Slowbro or Gastrodon and that sort of thing. So it had a really solid niche during that. But even outside that, it can still hit hard, and with the right partners like Volcarona and Gastrodon and Clefable, those sort of things that can like whittle teams down. It can really put in a lot of work. So it's definitely makes sense for a mon like Lopunny to rise. And
Yeah,
then
it's basically a faster Metacham, but without as much drawbacks because it doesn't have to worry about ghost types. It can high jump kick through them. It gets a fake out quick attack combo, which I really like. Encore, so you kind of like the way people use like Alakazam sometimes to encore into a setup sweeper.
that is true.
Hoping you can do the same thing. It even gets like some silly stuff like Power Punch. If you want to like, make it turn into like a, even stronger wall breaker or even like game sweeper maybe. You could try that.
Yeah,
Good mon.
yeah. And then Tyranitar, I think we already covered that in the
It's
last.
T-Tar. It's been around a while. It's good.
Yeah, like a lot of versatility, and yeah, people have just been using that with drill because, I mean, I guess we'll get into that in the metagame trend stuff, but yeah, yeah, really solid mon. And then Rotom, we also kind of went over that. Uh, Rotom is just very annoying in general. It like there's only a few mons that can safely switch into it. Other than that, they either get statused or they get tricked or they just get volt switched on. And yeah, really like there's like this last column is a lot of no PS mons. Like stops a lot of setup and they can definitely cripple down teams easily. Um, which one do you want to take now, Sarah? You want to take Gastro or you want to take Volk? I kind of like
I
both.
gotta take Volk.
Okay, I'll
I
take
gotta take
Gastro.
Volk.
I'll take Gastro. Okay, so Gastro has
Okay,
like
here you go.
Gastro has a lot of unique options with coming with it. It's one of the few mods that can switch into stuff like Keldeo, even Thunderous Tea if it's not running Grass Knot or something, Megalarias and
Yeah,
Clefable and that
yeah.
sort of
Grass Knot
stuff.
doesn't do much to it. I think Grass Knot's like a base 20 attack or something to Gastrodon. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
So like
Yeah, that is true.
G-Grass.
So yeah, it is able to like with Storm Drain and Sticky Hold, it is really annoying option because it either gets to keep its items or you give it a attack boost using a water type movement. And it also has options like Clear Smog, Counter, Scald, Yawn, uh, Clear Scald, Toxic. Yeah, that like a bunch of status moves. Nothing really like switching into Gastrodon. And the thing with the Gastro is it is basically a really solid offense to turn. Like, um, say for example, your opponent has like a Talonflame, right? You can just put that on a timer. That's fine. And then if they taunt you or something and they try to attack, well, you can just counter them, and then kill them. That sort of stuff. So it is like a really solid mon, and it forms really solid cores with other mons in the tier. Some being like Zapdos, for example. Zapdos and Gastro form a really solid core. Talonflame and Gastro form a really nice core. Um, Heatran and Gastro, Serperior, Gastro, like it forms really solid cores with other mons. I definitely recommend that people start using that because it could put in a lot of work for your team.
Yeah, I love Gastrodon. Also, it gets a Clear Smog. I don't know if you mentioned that. So even if you get taunted, unless it's a Steel type, you can prevent it from setting up in front of you.
Yeah, true.
It's all the cores, and water, ground, great typing. Storm Drain it basically has a water immunity, and people have been running more sticky hold, so you can't get your lefties knocked off. So it's a once again, a very flexible mon that I think it's always been good. It's just I guess now more people are seeing it
Hmm.
and using it lately.
True. All right, you can do Volk.
Oh
'Cause I
yeah.
know you love
So
Volk.
Volcanion, yeah, I love this mon. So Volcanion, it's been used more defensively on this SPL with like steam eruption, toxic, haze, maybe substitute. I think we saw a few times
Hmm.
protect. That's all well and good. It gets resistances. It's quad fire resist, quad ice resist. Really, you know, incredible. It resists fairies, steel. It gets a lot of resist, and
Yeah.
I think a thing that some people are underrating is just the offensive potential of this thing.
Hmm.
Like steam eruption is such a great move. It's such a pump with more accuracy with the burning, the scald. Water and fire together is just really great. Like there really isn't that much that can resist it. And even stuff that can resist it, like Slowbro,
Hmm.
they only really want to take it that well. And a lot of them run toxic, right? Like there's a lot of things that this one can do. I'm a really big fan of it. And even I prefer the spec set. I really only see myself using. But I think any set with this, have the right team support. So like Drill will be a great partner since you're removing the hazards on the field or Zapdos running Defog, same thing. It's just a really kind of a one of a kind mon. Like, I guess it's similar
Yeah,
to Heatran, but we'll talk about Heatran in a second. But
true.
unlike Heatran, it's got better offensive stabs, I think.
Yeah, I also
And,
agree with you. Like, I also use Specs Volcanion. I think Specs Volcanion plus CB Tar to catch Slowbro and Lottie is really, really nice. But I can definitely see the
it's not
merit.
toxic. But I do.
That is true.
It's
That is
toxic.
true. Um, I can also see the merit of people running defensive Volk. Like the resist I really saw it being able to wall the likes of Volk. Not many mons can wall the likes of Volk. I know there's people running HP ground, but I don't think you drop the HP ground in one, unlike
Oh no,
Heatran.
no. Yeah,
But
that's something
yeah,
else that's got to get over Heatran. It
and
doesn't have the quad renders this flame.
yeah,
Not
and
weakness.
you can also switch into Energy Ball Manaphy, Rain Dance Manaphy too. Like you can switch into most variants
Oh
of
yeah.
Manaphy, and the nice thing about
Uh-huh.
Volk, it has decent phasing options. So it has Roar, it also has Haze. So you can definitely shut down a lot of mons that are scary to other teams in general. So it has a really nice utility option as well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's good for these rising mons. And then there's mons that are either not used as much anymore or falling out of favor.
Oh thank God.
I like Heatran, but we do. I mean, based on our previous videos, you guys know we hate Manaphy. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
Manaphy's been falling out of favor just because like the metagame has shifted towards more immediate offense. So rather than wasting a turn and setting up, there's mons that just immediately hit hard. As you guys have seen, there's been more Keldeo being used, so that can hit immediately. That can hit hard immediately. That sort of stuff. And with the surgence of Lopunny and Zapdos, it's really hard for Manaphy to get going. Um, it
That's all the
can,
superiors
yeah,
out there.
Serperior. How could I forget about Serperiors? Yeah, there's Serperiors running around everywhere. There's Volcanions running around everywhere. So it is really tough for Manaphy to get going in this metagame. Um, and then Heatran isn't really bad, but I can see why people haven't been using it. Like everybody and their mom was using HP Ground Volk like last SPL, so I mean I can see why people weren't
Yeah.
using Trandem, but it is really nice in general. I guess Sarah, you can go more into that regarding
Oh,
Heatran.
I think the main thing we could see that the usage of Excadrill, at least in SPL, is 70%.
Mm-hmm.
So when like every team has like the most Guzman, which is also has a similar role, it's a steel type that can have rocks, and other utility moves, kind of just destroys it basically every time. I can see why people aren't running Heatran as much.
Mm-hmm.
As well as a lot of the megas kind of deal with it. Like Lopunny we mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and the Cham. Well, that's more on the ladder, but still, it doesn't really like stop too much. Oh, Gastrodon, of course, just Earth Power it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just not like really like a I guess a role for it right now for a lot of teams in this meta game.
Yeah.
It's still a quad fair resist. It has some great resist itself. It's like it kind of reminds me of the early days, or I guess not early, the late days of ORAS on like Volcanion. Was having a little more run than Heatran at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We were like in love with Steam Eruption, so I feel like a similar things happening here, where people are really really love what Volcanion can do, and as a consequence of that, people are dropping Heatran more.
True.
But
True.
I can see like it's flip flopping when the meta changes again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a great mod still. It's a nice Heatran.
Yeah, I also agree. And I think versus these two, I can also understand like why both of them are out of favor because Rotom usage has also been I think at an all-time high.
Yeah.
Rotom is annoying to both of these mons, and unlike Volcanion, like Volcanion can easily eat Volt Switch even if it's super effective, and then nothing else like switching into Steam Eruption, so it is free to just stay in on Rotom if it really wants to. Unlike
Yeah, yeah.
Heatran, like Heatran can probably just go for Lava Plume and Toxic at best. But yeah.
That's most of them run. A lot of them don't even run like Earth Power anymore. You
Mhm.
just see like the utility and Lava Plume, which it's good for a lot of teams, but you really miss that coverage sometimes.
Yeah.
I got
So
like five move slots in them, I guess, with each turn.
that's true. Yeah. All right. So that's for Mons falling out of favor. In the next section, we're going to be talking about metagame trends and like some patterns we've been seeing regarding teams that have been used this SPL. So uh, let me go on to this next slide. So as you see, there are plenty of teams that have been using sand, and that is for a good reason because sand is a really decent way to stop a lot of offensive teams like webs and screens, that sort of stuff. Exfugil is a decent check to mons like Volcarona and Mega Altaria. Those mons we've been using a lot in the past SPO, so really solid versus that. And then as you guys can see, there's a wide variety, but um, in general, I think the pattern for these teams is that there's sand just to sweep or break down teams, and then there's like some sort of sweeper or cleaner that can just punch holes. So as you see, like I think this is Erzengo's team on the bottom left that uses Alakazam. CBB's team uses Alakazam, and Luigi's team used Alakazam and Manaphy. So a lot of these teams rely on breakers to beat down offense, and then use Drill and Tyranitar as a means of checking other threats or sweeping to chip down teams. Some of these teams are kind of fatter, like Santu's team with Mega Slowbro. Um, and a bit of Persephone's team, I think, has been like, I think that's more of a balance compared to bulky offense. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can understand why people would use Sand, and I guess I should also mention Zapdos and Skarm, which are really good options versus Lopunny and deterring fake out spam and that stuff for stalling out turns. So, um, anything else you want to add, Sarah?
I mean, Sand's been good basically since the beginning that was introduced in Pokemon. And
Yeah.
it's very flexible. It's the most flexible weather, I'd say, because
Mhm.
it doesn't just benefit like water, like rain and fire for sun. Like you have anything that's like somewhat bulky or like doesn't hate the sand too much, and it could probably work on sand.
That's
And
true.
best setter out of all the weathers, and Tyranitar,
Hmm.
the best sweeper, an extra drill. Clef is like arguably still like on in my opinion. And if it's just fine on sand, doesn't care about the chip damage. Also, kind of it's Clef. I really don't need it. Praise Clef. But yeah, you can just run so many things with sand. And the chip each turn is nice. The Mons that work with it, like I said, are really good. It's just a great
Yeah, I'd
style
say
of play.
I'd say it's definitely like the most consistent sort of play style in my opinion in this
It doesn't even need
metagame.
to be offensive.
Mm.
It doesn't even be offensive. Like look at the bottom left team, Garmy and Mungus. Like it's like half. I don't want to say it's like semi-stall, but it's more like balanced or bulky offense. Like most weather, it's really the weather's not up. It kind of sucks. Like sand doesn't really have that issue. Like
Yeah,
these are just kind of good mons, not just good for sand.
that is true. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think I think Sarah hit the nail on the head. But yeah, it is really just versatile. Covers a lot of stuff. You don't really need the weather up, but it is nice to have. Excadrill in general is like a really good mon in this tier just because it can check a lot of things under sand. Um, Ground, rock, steel coverage is really nice. And if you just pair it with the mon like Alakazam or Manaphy, that I mean like you can just put in a lot of work versus a bunch of different teams. And yeah, it is just like a really solid play style, and I really like uh, I don't know how to put it, but like appreciate or really in like I'm really happy that teams are like turning into these sort of sand balances, because at this point you're not really matchup fishing. These are like really solid teams in general. It's not like a webs matchup where like you get 6-0'd by Zapdos or Rewild on screens or something like that. But these are like really solid teams in general. Very rarely have a bad matchup. So I'm really glad that people are building these new teams, and they've been putting in work. So yeah, let's go on to the next section. So next section is like the occurrence of offense deterrents. So Zapdos, Lopunny, we've covered that. Volcanion, Gastro, Room, we've also covered that. And in the previous slide, I guess we also covered that with T-Tar and Extra. But yeah, I think Megazam should be mentioned here because it is a very solid option versus most offensive teams. Most uh, most of those teams don't really have priority. Maybe some teams that have Bishop may, um, but it hits like a truck. And the nice thing about it is also fine in the sand, like versus sand balance, because Zam is able to trace Sand Rush and then threaten drill out. So that's always a great thing to have. I'll go more into Zam later on, but yeah, in general, we've seen a lot of mons that can stop like greedy screens and that sort of stuff. So really solid mons that are versatile, flexible. Um, and yeah, that I mean, like these mons are solid in general. They'll probably be solid for the upcoming SPL in the metagame to come. So yeah, I can't wait to see more things regarding these guys. But all right, so now we're gonna cover up some possibly good mons. So I guess we can go like one by one. Like I can go first, and then
That
you
sounds
can
good.
go first. So yeah, I'll go more into Zam now because Zam is definitely a mon that can tear through a bunch of teams, and in this metagame, I think it's gonna put in so much work. Um, Zam in general really doesn't have solid switches. Like there's Scissor that I can think of, and then maybe if you miss Focus Blast, then whatever Focus Blast switching like Heatran or Ferrothorn might be a problem. But this, I think the scariest thing about Zam is that last move slot is basically a freebie. Like you can do whatever you want with it. You just need to run like Psychic, Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, and then the last slot can be whatever you want. It can be a disruptive option like Encore. It can be, if you're crazy, you can do Calm Mind, but I don't see it that much. But
Yeah, it's a little. You can do sub to try to outplay the sucker punches.
that could be interesting. Yeah. But yeah, Zam is definitely a scary mon, and there's few ways to deal with it. To be honest, like you either have to get like a Scarfmon in, or you have to like chip it down slowly, or you have strong priority. But even then, like Bisharp can get outplayed if you encore trap him into Sucker Punch. There's only like a few strong other strong priority users like Talonflame maybe or Crawdon that can do any work. The thing with stuff like Lopunny and Medicham is that sometimes I've seen Zam use Protect, though I don't know if it's like that good
Oh
compared to
yeah,
other moves.
yeah.
But yeah, I think
I'm not
I've
super
seen
into it.
Devin use it a lot. But yeah, it helps to deter stuff like Fake Out. But um, yeah, I mean it's definitely a dangerous mon. I think it'll definitely get more use over time. Um, it's really a pain to switch into. I'm actually surprised I haven't seen more. Um, but yeah, I guess you can go on to your first then, Sarah.
I was gonna say, Alakazam has an interesting distinction of being the only Mega that doesn't get the 100 added to its base stat total. It only gets 90,
Oh, it
which I
does.
thought was interesting.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
I
fun
didn't
fact.
know
It
that.
only gets 90. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, okay.
So for my first one, we talked about basically all these mons, but I'll go more into Gastrodon. So, Water Ground, from like the inception of like, well, I'll say Quagsire, but Swampert from Gen 3, Water Ground has been great. Only one weakness to grass types. Really like, three good grass types in the tier, and one of them's superior. So it's got a great defensive typing. It has a curse. Like I really love. I've been a big fan of Gastrodon for a long time. It's so easy to patch up that grass weakness, and whatever other weakness it has. Like I'm such a big fan of this thing. Like anything that's pink, don't give up on it. Besides Wigglytuff. besides Wigglytuff. But besides that, yeah, like I don't know what else I can really say. Like it gets all like the coverage moves it needs, utility moves it needs. Excuse me. I said earlier, Clear Smog, which I'm not really a big fan of because it's very weak. Additional doesn't work on steel types, but you know, you get Scald, you get your choice of Earth Power, Earthquake. Ice Beam, of course. Toxic if you're really for that guy. Recover. It gets Recover, guys. It gets Recover.
Yeah,
Like,
about that.
yeah, it could great natural bulk. You can run it more physically mixed special. Yeah, that's a great one. I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It can do so many different things for a team, and it's got so many different options. Like it's really like, I mean, if you remove the brown part, I guess you could call it like a ditto in terms of that, but it can't really do anything for a team.
It's got a great cry.
All right, maybe I should get into mine. So my next pick is probably controversial. A lot of people hate this mon. A lot of people love this mon. Um, that is Megamane, and I kind of think that Megamane shines with the user. Like if you know how to use Megamane, it is like a goat mon. If you don't, then it's so bad. But I feel like Megamane would put in a lot of work in this meta because people people have been using a lot of offense, and Megamane is really solid versus that. It also, like Zapdos, it does have the nice electric, fire, ice coverage, um, which is really solid and hard to switch into. I think people have been like saying like people don't like main because they think it's like weak and it doesn't really do much for a team. But I think what main does, it makes other teammates shine rather than like. I think the way people have been building with main is just using main as like the star of the show, like that sort of stuff. So they use stuff like spikes to whittle teams down. But I think if you use main with like say a mon that can't really that has no switches like Crawdon or something or Kyurem, then the main doesn't really shine, but it helps force switches so you can double into mons that really can't be switched into. Like say for example, I'm playing like versus a offensive team, right? Like uh and then main can just force a lot of switch. I mean it can beat like a lot of mons, and then basically what it can do is force you into your ground, and then you can just punish that with a Kyurem or a Crawdon, get your kill, and then switch out, bring main in, force another switch, and then bring Craw or Kyurem in and grab your kills that way. But yeah, I think it's only like a good bond in terms of like forcing switches. I know people are right, like it doesn't put in that much damage by itself, but I really think it can work versus offense, and particularly its ability to force switches and getting double switch into a good mon. And I think this would work definitely in CBB's hands or something. Someone who capitalizes on double switching and likes to play aggressively. So I can definitely see that working in their hands. But yeah, I think it's a really good solid option versus offense. If you want to add something, Sarah, I guess you could.
Okay, it gets charge. You guys know what charge does?
Oh yes.
Makes your next electric attack do 2 times damage the next turn. And your risk for death by 1. I think that's like its only setup move besides Curse. And I'm not even ready for Curse mid-trick. But yeah, I think it's solid for what it is. I think I mentioned earlier that I prefer Raikou. It's not that much weaker. Doesn't take up a mega slot. But Raikou also doesn't get fire coverage, flamethrower, or overheat. If you want to just like really kill those Earth Thorns. But yeah, I think it's solid. It's just there's so much competition for a mega slot.
Yeah.
And I think Manectric gets kind of tossed to the wayside. But still a solid mon, and I'm sure there's a role for it. Guess I'll go next for mine. So Volcanion, we already discussed this one. So I mean, it's Steam Eruption. Overheat, flamethrower. It's toxic, guys. It's toxic. That's how you deal with the that can't break. Don't run HP grass. Don't run HP grass.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't do
don't do
that,
that.
please. It's so bad. Never run HP grass on this thing. Like you didn't pick this thing playing your team to run HP grass. Like just don't do it. Um, I really hate HP grass on this thing. Um, it's bulky. It's strong. It's got things that nothing else can really do.
Mhm.
I'm happy in a way that people are starting to rediscover it again. To use it to success in SPL
Mhm.
and on the ladder. Say the Keys has been really a big fan of it lately. But yeah, should have got defog this gen.
Yeah, I
Defogger
wish.
earlier. I mean, it would actually be like probably the best defogger. Well, it'd be up there.
Oh yeah, because I think your best defogger is on later on in that list, right?
But yeah, that's true.
I think I should also mention like how good like Volcano is defensively. I think if you guys see in our previous replays, like Volcano's been able to eat like EQ from like Landers or Excadrill and Diamond Storm from like a Diancie and then just kill them back with Steam Eruption. That's how good it is
Yeah,
defensively.
it has no quad resist. I mean, sorry, no quad weakness, which
Mm.
is not something that Heat Train can say. Which I think also is what holds Heat Train back in this meta.
Mm-hmm. And then, all right, so I think I'll go next. So my next one is Talonflame. So Talonflame's been used a bit this SPL. I think the main thing going for it is it's also like an offense killer. Like nothing like switching into +2 Talon. Um, the thing with Talon is it also has decent utility options per se, but I mean it kind of helps itself sweep. Like with Taunt, you kind of shut down fatter mons that have like the toxic or T-wave you. And then with the Will-O-Wisp, I think is the best move on SD Talon, just so you catch the mons that normally switch into you, like Garchomp, Tyranitar, Rotom, Landers, that sort of stuff. And I think, to be honest, they sometimes they can become setup fodder for you, and you can just SD up and roost the damage off. But if not, like you basically bait those mons into Will-O-Wisp, and you can just switch out without taking too much damage. And then what's really nice about that, it eventually sets you up to sweep later on. So it is like a really solid mon in general. If you find the right partners for it, you can put in so much work. Um, and yeah, what I mentioned before about like so many people using Sand nowadays, I think it's a really nice mod to bait in Tyranitar and Zapdos and then chip them down with the Will-O-Wisp. Um, and if you, yeah, it can put in so much work versus offense. It completely destroys screens. Um, and I think people should experiment more with Sharp Beak because it can get you some kills you wouldn't expect. Like at +2, Braybird can Oko Thunderous after rocks damage. It can also like 2-hit KO Heatran after rocks, which is
Yeah,
kind of
that one's
crazy.
silly. That one's
Yeah.
silly.
Same thing with like Rotom. Rotom doesn't like switching into +2 Talonflame at all. Um, but yeah, definitely a mon that is slept on and has really good options in general. There's also like bulk up and stuff, but yeah, I think SD. I mean, I like to use SD Sharp Beaks, but yeah, it can also like be used defensively, like being able to switch into Bisharp and possibly even Weavile. But yeah, it can do a lot for a team as well. Really good versus offense.
Yeah, I love Talonflame. It's mon that like a lot of the other good mons we mentioned. You can run it a number of ways. SD. Angela mentioned Wisp. I really like Taunt. Then you can just set up on things that maybe would paralyze you, or toxic you, or what have you, or things that would stop you from setting up. But
Mm-hmm.
either has its advantages. It really depends on the team composition and I guess what you're comfortable with.
True.
But the bulk up it gets, which is it more of a slower death, which that's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wouldn't recommend Banded because you're probably just gonna get one kill and then die to whatever comes in after,
Mm-hmm.
or you'll die when you come back in on rocks. But Yeah, like the priority roosts and birds and acrobatics are also good.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, I should
it
probably
doesn't
also,
need any coverage. Is that-
yeah, I should probably also mention Talonflame is also one of the few mons that can check Volk without getting burned. So yeah, those Azus, those poor Azus and Crawdons and Bisharps and Medis and uh, Dragonites and Lopunnies, they all get burned. They all have a chance of getting burned by Flame Body, but Talon is able to revenge kill it, no problem.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's the best Ocarina answer in the tier for sure. And then
Alright.
Zapdos. It's probably like the third time we're talking about Zapdos, but you know, this is another mon, kind of like Tyranitar that's been kind of good forever, although its role has definitely changed um, lately. So I think it's probably tied for best defogger with another which I will mention later. But I just love using it as like a bulky pivot, you know.
Mhm.
Personally, like the speed's so good. Like I said, the bulk before was great. All the coverage it needs. Like electric types with coverage are really scary to switch into.
Yeah, that is true.
Either you stay in, or you bring in something that gets full switched on, or you risk a ground type and then HP ice it. You know, it's just so good. I'm really happy that I was using uh, a faster offensive Zapdos before it was cool. I can say that, but no, it's always been great. Um, Even if you don't like invest much into its bulk, like just give it HP, and it'll still like take the most hits that you need to take. Yeah, I love Zapdos. Great mon. Underrated until recently.
Speaking of mons that I love, so I love Cofagrigus. The words cannot
Um,
describe how much I love Cofagrigus. The only mon I love more than Cofagrigus is the one on the right of Cofagrigus, but in terms of doing well in this metagame, I think Cofagrigus can be really solid with the basically ton of extra drill usage going on in SPL. It's a really good spin blocker. Not only that, it can help whittle down teams with toxic spikes, Will-O-Wisp, and Hex. So it is really an annoying option versus the offensive teams we've been seeing so far in this metagame. And Mummy is also an underrated sort of ability because it can put a stop to a lot of megas that rely on their ability to do a lot of damage. So like stuff like um, uh, Medicham, Metagross, Pinsir, Altaria, they really rely on their abilities to do a lot. And in terms of stuff like Pinsir that has Aerialate and Altaria that has Pixelate, if they hit you, then they lose their ability and their returns or frustrations become normal types, so they can't even hit you because normal types can't hit ghosts. So that is a really solid option to deter mons like that from beating down your team. And versus stuff like Lopunny, for example, removing Scrappy is also nice because they can't hit you after they hit you one time, basically. So it's really nice as a means of stopping momentum and people from chipping down your team with repeated fake out spam and stuff. Because at this point, like every time they try to fake you out, they're either gonna get chipped by the toxic spikes you set up, or they always put themselves at risk of getting rid of this too. So it is a really solid mon. Um, I know like it gets shut down by taunt a lot, but if you run the right teammates, like it shouldn't be that much of an issue. I know taunt torn has been running around a bit, but if you just run like mons that can help punish that, like Tyranitar, maybe view out, then stuff like that isn't really an issue. But I think definitely with the extremely high usage of Excadrill right now, it could be a really solid mon.
As much as you love it, I hate this mon because it's really good and it always seems to wreck me whenever I come across it. I think it's a doesn't get used enough. One of the best Metacham counters. It's toxic spikes without being a poison type. It could even be like a trick room sweeper with nasty plot
Oh,
and like HP fighting and oh god, it's so awful to face. Like really good mon. It's kind of got like the Rotom thing, where its base HP is kind of low, but its natural defenses are so good.
yeah, true. Oh, I should probably also mention it gets access to pain spit. So like if you do try to chip it down a lot, it can just pain spit up the damage versus a lot of mons. It also I should
Yeah,
also mention like it has a good decent chunk of utility options like skill swap and stuff. So if your opponent's using like a clef or something or good score, you can easily just give them mummy and then they can just take a shit ton of damage from toxic spikes stacking and them
yeah,
losing their ability to heal or magic guard and that sort of thing. It's really cool.
yeah. It's really good. Probably make a team or make a live with it.
Yeah, yeah, true. It is. It's really nice. I love Cuff Aggregators.
I'll talk about Low Pony again for the third time too. Yeah, it's not very creative with my pick so far, but I mean, I've been a big fan of Low Pony for a while. My first good team I ever made had a Low Pony on it, and it's still good. Just last year, Anvil used it in our draft, not draft league, in our ADPL
Yeah.
game. Yeah, APL, and it still put in work. Fake out, quick attack. It's a great revenge killer if you have like monotoxic or you got T spikes up.
Mhm.
You basically like stall out a turn and then you get that added chip on it. Um, you don't even really need to run normal coverage. Like double priority, ice punch, HJK. That's all you need. I mean, you can't kill things like the pink things, Clefable and Slowbro, but I mean you weren't doing that anyway with return unless you crit anyway. So whatever. Uh, really nice mod. It has like some pretty cool options. Like I mentioned earlier, Encore, which is great. Got a Last Resort. If you want to do like a fake out Last Resort kind of thing. Power Punch. Something else I'm forgetting. Oh, gets Healing Wish. It's
Yeah.
really funny when you see that.
Mhm.
I don't see it too often, but
I
when
think.
it comes out, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think you also mentioned Encore earlier before, which I think I've seen Persephone use to help beat Clefable down, which is
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
it's really good. It's really good mod. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
All right, now we're getting into spicy picks. So these are pe- people will probably look at these mons and like laugh at us, but I think I don't know, man. If people have like mains like megas that they always rely on, like I know Keys loves Mega Gardevoir and Mega Latias.
Me
Amir
too.
loves Mega Metagross. I
I
think
mean, yeah, I mean that's already good.
yeah, that's really good. This Mega
Yeah.
Sceptile, bro. I don't know, man. I always loved Trico. Um, growing up in the Ruby Sapphire days. I know it's like I know it's not as good as other mons, but I think you can put it in work in this metagame. Mega Sceptile also loves facing offensive teams. Its coverage options are also really nice. Uh, it has grass, dragon, ground, rock coverage, which is really solid. It's like one of the few mixed attackers that I actually want to run in this gen, and I think it's like a master master baiter. So basically,
Okay,
basically
all
what it
right.
can do is it can like lure in a lot of mons and just like kill them. So one example I had in like I was facing some guy using screens. So I had like a leaf storm. I think I leaf stormed into a Manaphy, right? And then they use that opportunity to get their Volcarona in. And then what ended up happening, I ran the timer down a bit and then I just rock slided the Volcarona and people weren't expecting that. People don't think that Sceptile runs rock slide. I think they usually think of earthquake and stuff. So yeah, it completely caught the guy off guard and he lost two mons. I should also mention that Mega Sceptile is like one of the few mons in the tier that can Oko Manaphy, even like a bulky variant, which is like really nice. Um, but yeah, I think like the mons that usually switch into it are like Tornadus, and Tornadus isn't even running Assault Vest that much anymore, so it could be really solid in this metagame. But yeah, it's definitely a spicy pick, not for the faint-hearted. You need some finesse to use Mega Sceptile, and I know people are probably gonna laugh at me for saying this, but I think you can put in work. And I don't usually sign up for seasonals and stuff, but maybe I'll do it this time around and use Mega Sceptile.
Say this, but our unofficial first live with Mega Sceptile. Maybe one day we'll re-record that. But I really like Mega Sceptile too. It's got a really great speed tier. Grass type mons, like we said earlier, they're pretty rare. So most people don't really, I guess, think of that when they're team building. Having to deal with offensive grass types.
Mm-hmm.
So just by that alone, like I think Sceptile can really surprise a lot of teams. And it's a electric immunity, which is also cool. It makes attackers have it, like we said. It gets Swords Dance. You could even run like, Rock Slide, Earthquake, Leaf Blade, Swords Dance, and you basically have all the coverage you need.
I should also mention that like with Rotom usage being at an all-time high, like especially Scarf Rotom and stuff, it's definitely easy to just switch into that no matter what. Like you won't get T-Wave. I mean, like T-Wave won't work on you if you're Mega. You're not really bothered by Will-O-Wisp that much. You can switch into all of his other moves easily though, which is really solid. I also should mention Sceptile pairs with like the coolest mons in my opinion. Like I call this like the Holy Trinity, but so you got Sceptile as the Christmas tree, then you got Caradon as like the star on the Christmas tree, then you got Talonflame. I feel like those three pair well together, and I also think
it's like the Christmas chicken, the Christmas hen or whatever.
Yeah, and then
I see it.
I think also like Sceptile pairs really nice with Volcanion. I feel like they share like really nice resistances and immunities for each other, and then Sceptile, Volcanion, and Tyranitar I think also pair well together. But yeah, I think a lot of those mons are also being used in this SPL. So I kind of hope someone uses Sceptile. I don't think it's gonna happen, but a guy can hope, right?
You can always dream. And then lastly we have my favorite fake bird, Napoleon. The best defogger, ignoring Zapdos. I have so much love for this thing, man. Like the only water steel type. It's got great natural bulk, great utility options, rocks, defog, knockoff, whirlwind. No, roar. I think roar, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of those. Doesn't get roost yet, but that's why you run protect, and protect's actually really good on it because it's a great scout for choice mons, choice block mons, and you can EV it basically to live whatever attack you needed to, and then ideally revenge something with Torn Boost is called, which is pretty hard,
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's like an old Hydro Pump coming off that was it 111? I forgot its attack, but yeah, I love when I get this on the team. Like, it's unconventional, but it's a good mon. Like, this isn't like just you're not just using it because it's cool. Yeah, it actually has like a great niche. It pairs really well with like some staples of the tier, like Landorus, Clefable.
Yeah.
Right? They all kind of have a great role with each other. Make a great synergy with each other. I tried the offensive one with like Defiant, Swords Dance, and +5 Empoleon doesn't KO Mega Manachan with Aqua Jet. I found that.
Man.
I think I ran out of it too, man. But yeah, so I wouldn't run like that set, but
That's okay. I mean,
it's a good one.
Empo can beat Metachan without even clicking an attack, right, Sarah? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
You just protect.
Yeah, just
Full protect.
protect on the high jump
Yep.
kick, and you got him.
That's it.
Savoris is probably that. If Savoris watches this video, he's probably gonna be like, "What the fuck, man? You disrespect Medicham like that, man?"
I will. That shit sucks.
Oh
I
man,
don't like it. I
you
don't
hear
respect
that?
it.
All
Just
right,
start beef.
all right. So then that's all the section for the possibly good mods. The next section is gonna be kind of short. We're just gonna be going through the players. So for we got all the basically the rankings of every player that's played. And this is up to week 5. So the second week of February. So yeah, Splash looking really solid, Purse really solid. John Raptor, I mean they've been doing well too. X-Ray, I think. I mean, I definitely have to preface this by saying like all these players are extremely good. There's not really a person I'd say is bad. It's just I think a lot of these matches have been decided in the builder, which I think is like, to be honest, I think that's like peak SPL. Like you don't have to. Anyone can lose to anyone, but I know Slash has gone 5-0, so it's like what is this guy saying? But I think skill wise, everybody has the skill to beat each other at some point. There's also always like hacks and stuff involved too, but
Matchups, yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of these have been decided like based initially on matchup and whoever's been playing, been able to play their cards right. And some people have played their cards like really well. Some people have had like really bad matchups. Like I think Erzengel had like pretty bad matchups for the first couple of weeks, and he also had some hacks too. Same thing with Bioman. So I mean, like these guys are really solid players. It's just like it was really just RNG at that point, picking the right team and uh, hacks and that sort of stuff. But I'd say in terms of skill wise, this SPL I think it's been like I haven't seen the past SPLs, but I think this is like the high. This is like peak ORAS SPL. Like a lot of these guys are solid builders and players. So really nice teams. I've been seeing like all of these guys using. I've been seeing some really funky stuff too. But I mean, it looks really cool. It's not like cheesy. It's not as cheesy as screens or webs that kind of gets destroyed in certain matchups. But yeah, I guess we should go into the specific players too, right? You got any additional thoughts to say about these guys, sir?
Uh, Honestly, not really. Leave it to you. I don't really pay attention as much to the individual players unless we're watching them.
Yeah, so I mean, like these are just the general patterns we've been seeing. I know Splash been going crazy the past couple of weeks using the teams that have been that he's like defeated guys and then like used their teams like the
Oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Gastrodon Chansey one. Yeah, he beat
The super bad scissor. That was him, right? Is that
yeah,
him?
so he beat Luigi. So he
Oh my
fought
god.
Luigi using this Medicham team, and then after the week after, he used Luigi's team versus Erzengel. So yeah, crazy stuff, man. And then he used Persephone's team that he used versus Raptor, the ones that Keys made. I think I don't know if he got the spreads, but he probably just copied the Mons and not the spreads exactly. But
Yeah.
yeah, last couple of weeks have definitely been crazy. I think his first couple builds were pretty cool. I like the La Puni with Gastro and Zapdos Heat Transfer. Really cool mons in general. I think they pair really nicely too. Um,
Oh, he had the Gyarados too. That was him.
oh no, I don't think he used
Wait, no,
Gyarados.
sorry. Misheard you.
Oh, sorry. I think I did the Gastrodon. Yeah, but those
Yeah,
mons
you
are pretty
probably said
crazy.
Gastrodon. Yeah,
Yeah, I think Splash has been. I think Splash in his first match versus Persephone, he had a couple like he didn't play as optimally as he would, but I think in the uh, weeks following, like he's been getting better and better, and I think his match versus like Luigi was like the turning point because that was like complete domination. Like he couldn't. I guess like he was capitalizing on a lot of turns, but there was some hacks involved regarding like the slow burn and stuff that I know. But I think that was the turning point where he didn't like misplay that much anymore after that. But, like a lot of his wins after that have been really dominant. I think the match with Zerzengel was like crazy. Um, but I think yeah, that was really good. And then he managed to beat John, which in my opinion I thought was the best player. Um, in SPL. But yeah, I guess we'll not talk about that right now. But yeah, I mean he's 5-0 right now, and I don't think he's gonna lose anytime soon. But we'll
Who's
see how
next
it
week?
goes.
Watching.
Persephone, I also think is one of the top players here. I think he's like top 3 in my opinion. Um, if I saw Keys as like my master, like the one who taught me ORAS, I'd see Persephone as my grandmaster, like that sort of stuff. So I really like the teams that he builds. I know a lot of people like I've heard people say that his teams are kind of whack, but I think these are have been like relatively tame so far. Like I really like the chomp on this team. I remember him or Keith showed me what it was, and then Tarak was really cool. He's also been using
Oh yeah, awesome.
Volking in a lot. What was that,
Yeah,
sir?
Tarak was awesome. Oh, Tarak was awesome.
Hmm.
Love seeing that.
Yeah, yeah, I really look forward to what type of teams he brings. I think this week he brought in an Amir team. I think that the one on the top left. But yeah, it was some really cool stuff. I think it was Adamant Volcarona. So I mean Adamant Metagross, which was really cool, and he was able to beat down Cofagrigus over time. But yeah, I mean that's we're just point. I mean like we're not really talking much about the patterns. You guys probably just see on the screen like you got Volcanion, you got some Lopunny, you got some sand going on there. I mean it's like a mix of it. It just looks like a bunch of BO, which is so vague. But I guess we can just like
Uh,
scroll through
there isn't really like any mon he like seems super attached to.
them. Yeah.
As a drill, he's used a bit, but I mean, so is everybody else.
Hmm. And then John, if you scouted John, you'd see a lot of pink stuff like Clefable and Altaria and Megalodias, but I mean, these replays show nothing of that. There's Zam, there's Altaria, there's Lopunny, and then he used HO for the last couple two, so it is really hard to read him at the moment, but
Yeah.
he's competent with a lot of different play styles. But I think I think he's a really solid player. Like I really like the way he plays. Um, I think if any new player was to watch SPL, I think they should watch John because like I feel like you can understand his plays. Like for a new player to see how John plays, he plays really like safe at first, but when he needs to be aggressive, he'll be aggressive. He doesn't like taking too many risks, which I respect. And by doing that, you can definitely learn what he's expecting from his opponent. And then by doing that, that helps you understand the metagame, what he thinks is a threat, and so forth. So I definitely recommend if a new player is trying to learn ORAS, they watch John's game. Um, and let's see, right? We got Raptor. So Raptor, I think he didn't play in the last SPO, but he's played before. And I know he's getting support from a lot of other ORAS guys like Vulpix and Joya and that sort of stuff. So a lot of these teams I don't think are his, but I mean, he's a really solid pilot of those teams. And looking at the team comps, I think they're really geared towards stopping offense. Like Bish is an offense killer, Talon and Lop are offense killers. Vivales, yeah. You got really like the builders who are helping Raptor really have an idea of what the metagame is like, and they're really uh, taking advantage of what other people usually use and capitalizing on that with mons that can beat them. So you can definitely see that with the Levi usage, the Zam usage, the Lopunny, and the Townsend. Really good solid options. If you guys see that our offense deterrent list, basically all these mons are on this. Yeah, really solid. This is that. I also think it's hard to read Raptor because I don't think he's the one building these. I think other guys on his team are building these for him. But I mean, I don't know per se, so it's hard to tell. Um, then you got X-Ray. X-Ray is probably like the one of the most experienced ORAS guys. Like I remember this guy fighting Blunder in like 2016 SPO, that sort of stuff. So he's been playing it forever. Um,
He's a yeah one of the big names for sure.
yeah, like
Probably him, CBB, Persephone. I'd say the biggest three.
Yeah, I haven't heard of Persephone that much, but I haven't played Mons in so long. But yeah, CBB
You
and
know what?
X-Ray.
Probably just 'cause I know you guys. But I know Persephone. He's also been really good though. But
Yeah,
yeah,
X-Ray. I think X-Ray had like he's had like a couple bad matchups like the first couple weeks, but his play wise, like he doesn't really misplay that much. Um, his game versus CBB was really solid. Like he there was like very high level plays, and he was taking advantage of every turn. In my opinion, not really that much of a misplay uh, during that game. He also has like decent diversity in his build. I really like that team. I didn't watch the replay, but I mean, looking at this team comp, it really it looks like you can put in a lot of work. Like Suicune, which I'm assuming is T Spikes, I think that can put in a lot of work because you put a stop to a lot of mons that switch into Suicune, like Volcanion and Gastrodon, which is really cool. Altaria is not used that much, but I mean, if you have Cofagrius with like Will-O-Wisp, that can help our steals, which is nice. I really like X-Ray's team comps.
yeah,
They
big fan of them. There's that bottom one: Hydreigon, Metagross, and Blobs with T-Flame.
yeah
Like that. I'll take that.
yeah. I also think like if you guys are prepping for X-Rays, it'll probably be really hard to read what he's bringing. I think when uh, Amir and Persephone told me they were fighting X-Ray this week. I think they were more focused on their weaknesses rather than trying to dig into what X-Ray was weak against. So yeah, I think that's probably just the best way to go. Um, and then next up, we got another big name, CBB, known for using some spicy stuff. Um,
Oh yeah.
there's always one spicy one, as you can see here. There's two spicy ones here. There's one here. You got one here, and you got one, two, three here. So yeah, so he'll be a really solid player. He's known for being very aggressive. So if John was your guy to see like how to play like safe and making aggressive plays when needed, I think CBB is your type of guy. If you want to see someone who plays really like balls to the walls aggressive, like always tries to
You
uh
play like an asshole, basically.
Sarah B's no disrespect. CBB's the goat, but
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah. No. CPP's great. He plays like an asshole. That's why he's great.
yeah, I mean, if you're facing CBB, the last thing you want to do is be in the back because CBB will beat you down like no other person will. So, I think if fighting someone like him would really teach you a lot about ORAS because it's not just how what you think is like the safe play and like team wise who's better or not. CBB can make the best use of a bad matchup. He can play aggressively when he needs to, and he really knows how to beat down opponents who play passively. So that's why I'm really kind of looking forward to his matchups versus some of the other guys who are playing. Um, Next up, I think is Santu. Santu, he had a really solid run last SPL. He got hacked a couple weeks. Um, these last couple weeks though, I'm definitely curious who is like building with him. I think ABR is on the team, but definitely some interesting picks with Cloister and Victini and stuff.
Oh yeah, Cloister was so funny.
Yeah, the only like I liked all his teams from his previous weeks. I think the only one I wasn't a fan of was the Gastrodon, Larias, Tornadus one, but
That's
other
one that
stuff,
got lost to the Volcarona or
yeah.
turn one, right? Yeah. Yeah,
But
that one was pretty bad.
yeah, I really like the other ones though. They're pretty like I really like the sand with the Mungus and Zapdos. I really love the SD Chomp. That was really cool. Mega Slowbro too. That was pretty cool. A lot of his teams were pretty cool. Like, but I think they're like really spicy. I think if I were to prep versus Santu, I'd probably bring him on like Talonflame that can help stop
And deal with
offense.
nonsense.
Yeah, or Volcanion or something like that. But yeah, Santu, another guy who's really hard to read. I honestly don't know what he'll bring next week. We'll see about that. Then Luigi, I think Luigi's been playing the past couple SPLs. I think his SPLs run so far have been kind of rough. Um, I think he's like 1-4 right now, but he's like a really solid player. Made it to finals of Smock Tour and stuff. Um,
1-3, 1-3. He didn't lose his fourth game yet.
true. Um, yeah, I mean his team comps have been really solid. Aside from that team
That
that
scissor
Sarah
one is
hates.
so bad. I hate that scissor. It's so bad. Don't use that scissor, please.
But yeah, I mean like his teams are okay. I think another like he hasn't played that many games for us to notice like a pattern or anything. They look
Yeah,
really good.
I feel like he got a style. He's got like a style. You know, there's a lot of clefs, lob, like a wall
Oh,
breaker.
that's now that I notice it. Yeah, 4 out of 4 class. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
true. That is true.
like like Zapdos a bit. Rotom. Yeah, he seems like kind of like standardish, kind of bouncy slash semi-stall kind of thing. Actually, no, that team. I don't know. That was just bad stall. Can't get over that. But yeah, I don't think his teams are bad necessarily. But you know, he's got Manaphy, who we kind of shit on.
Hmm.
You know, the Scissor I've been shitting on. So I feel like each team has like one really whack mon. Jirachi's kind of funny. We don't see much Jirachi.
True.
Well, I got a good Jirachi team. Anvil knows.
Oh yes.
But
Alright,
yeah, I'm sure he's fun. Environment. Ooh.
environment, man.
Well, speaking of Manaphy,
Yes, I see a lot of Manaphy's. I think Manaphy.
HO.
You know my feeling on Manaphy and how it affects luck, right? So I have like I have this saying that Manaphy gives you bad karma, and
You
I
use
think
it, yeah.
Vileman has been a victim of that since he's been hacked in every game. I think he's used Manaphy. Um, but I mean, he also got hacked really badly in that game versus CBB. Because remember that Volcarona getting flinched by Viva's icicle crash?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really tough.
I
I think
mean, it'll do that.
Yeah,
So that was good like that.
yeah. I think Vileman is like a really solid player. I think he's just not been
I
getting
think
that lucky.
the
It's
teams
Manaphy,
are
man. It's
really.
Manaphy.
Oh yeah, it's Manaphy and you're just running HO. And I still think HO is pretty bad against you know someone who knows how to deal with it. And most of these guys, well, all these guys that are playing SPL, I think, generally know how to play against it.
Mhm.
Like yeah,
Like I'm a fan of like all the other Mons. I mean they're so cool. Like they pair well nice like with each other. I think it's just yeah, it's just Manaphy. Like I don't think Manaphy is that good anymore. Just because like the stuff we mentioned before about Rotom being so popular, Sir being so popular, fake out Mons like Lopunny being popular. So at max, your Manaphy is probably gonna get 1 kill, maybe 2. If it's Sadlik, maybe that's another deal. But I mean, you can still get still susceptible to being chipped down by priority. So I don't know, man. I think I mean, like these
just
teams are
very
really
frail
solid.
teams.
Valorant is really solid in general. I think once he comes back from break, I kind of hope that he like switches it around. Maybe uses some team like bulky offense teams like this.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
but I think bulky offense will be better for him because everything he has is like very frail that he's brought, and I think that works on ladder. Doesn't really work in tournament that consistently. At least from what we've seen, you know.
all right, and then last one we have Erzingo. So we're not gonna go over the guys who only played like 1 or 2 matches so far, like Manet, but Erzingles has played a lot too. I think he's like their main the classiest like main ORAS player. So I mean like aside from week 1 and this previous week, a lot of his teams have been like tame, I would say. Like Sand Balance you got here, then you got some BO with Metagross Pharaoh Spikes, and then you got more Sand
Tangrowth.
BO.
Tangrowth here too. I haven't seen too many Tangrowth.
Yeah, that is true. That this team was pretty fire in the last SPO. I mean, um, back in the day when I was dumb and I thought screens were broken, but Urz like proved me wrong there. Like in this matchup, this was like Zardawai, and he smashed like a screen team pretty well. So at that point, I realized how good wall breakers were in general versus that screen stuff. So that is really cool. I think Urz has been relatively conservative in his team building ever since that like first week, and I think he's starting to use Zard more just because like his matchup luck hasn't been that well when he was using these teams. So I can definitely see him trying to bring that around. He's definitely a solid player, but yeah, he hasn't been getting the right matchups as of late. So I definitely hope he bounces back the remainder of this SPL. He was also a like SPL champion last season, so you
Oh,
know,
really? Oh, I forgot about that.
yeah. And then our final couple sections, we got some hype matchups. John versus Persephone. I think Persephone and John are both solid players in general. I think Purse is an interesting pick because he definitely has some tricks up his sleeves. He's like his teammates aren't the only one helping him. Like he has outside help from like Keys and Amir and stuff, which is really cool. I think John is a solid player too. I definitely want to see how he plays against someone who can bring some unexpected techs. So definitely an interesting matchup.
Oh,
And then
Jones.
yeah, there's a lot of Johns. I guess you can tell who one of my favorites is. So John versus CBB. This is a clash of play styles, in my opinion. I think John is more of a conservative type of player who makes aggressive plays only if necessary, and then CBB is balls to the balls aggressive. So I definitely want to see how this plays out. And both these guys are like peak. This is like peak. This is also going to be another peak ORAS kind of thing where these guys are going to beat each other like multiple turns ahead, and that sort of stuff. Definitely something to look out for. Oh no! What happened? Oh, okay, John versus X-Ray, right? I don't know much about the history between these two guys. I think if Keys told me that X-Ray is like John's dad, like Keys' dad, Keys is my dad, that sort of stuff.
He hates him. He hates his dad.
But yeah, I'm definitely.
I don't know anything. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Did CBB play X-Ray?
Yeah, that was the last match with the
okay.
Frozen Metagross, the defensive Alakazam. I think.
Okay. Oh my god, I didn't realize that was. Man, I think that could have been way better.
Yeah, and then I think the last match was just Splash versus CBB. Splash is going 5-0. I also want to see how he plays versus
that'd be fun.
I feel like CBB is like a gatekeeper for these guys. Like, if you can beat CBB, then you're a good ORAS player, like that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing how Splash plays because I think in the current matchup, Splash has been like ahead, like he's been playing aggressively too. I want to see how he faces versus CBB and how he fares if he's playing from the back. I definitely want to see how he does that because I feel like that is the true measure of a player. I think is how he plays when he's behind, and if he can come back from that and play optimally, then he is really like one of the best. So we'll have to see how he does versus. He's definitely an interesting matchup to come. And then this final section, I think is for these are general tips for like newer players who want to learn ORAS. So I guess I can start. I think we can go in like order. Like I can give one tip, and then you can give one. I'd say definitely check out the replays of John if you're someone who's just starting ORAS, and then he plays very like straightforward. So if you don't understand the play, then maybe you can like look at how like what type of mons the opponent was using and try to figure out like why John made like a certain play, like what he might have been expecting, what he expected as a threat, and then I think you can begin to understand his play style, like why he made that sort of play initially if it didn't make sense to you before. Uh, and then in general, like if you were playing like say you're like an aggressive player, then I'd recommend watching CBB because CBB plays really aggressively. He plays a couple turns ahead. So understanding that can really help you to understand how to position your mons, how to effectively get the most use out of them, and also like how to punish your opponent for playing passively, I guess too. So um, yeah, I think that's one tip for now. I guess I can keep going, but I guess I can give one too.
Yeah, my main tip is to join the ORAS Legacy League server on
Oh
Discord.
man, what a guy!
Link in the description. Also
Yeah.
subscribe to the ORAS Legacy OU server YouTube channel. Smash that like button, bell, and leave a comment. Nice comment only, please. But no, but seriously, I think if you're a new player, like don't over predict. You know, I think a lot of people maybe when they first start watched I don't know, Blunder maybe. Well, when I first started, I was watching Blunder. I mean, they see Blunder, they see like another noteworthy player. They see like them going for like big green reads or whatever. Like
Mhm.
you don't need to do that. Like you play more like conservatively, and then if you're in the back, then you can maybe try predicting, but don't just try to make a big play return if the benefit doesn't outweigh the risk. You
I,
know,
yeah, I agree.
that's
Like,
the biggest thing I would say.
yeah, when I started ORAS, I did like a similar approach. I think you should always start it like when you learn a new gen, you should sort of play a bit conservatively, just so you know what the default switches are to a certain one. Like for example, if I have like a Metagross or something, right? If a person has like a Rotom and a Garchomp, then I think it's best to just hit what's in front of you rather than trying to predict Rotom or Garchomp or that sort of stuff, just so you know what people default to. And then once you get a handle of that sort of stuff, then you can start making aggressive plays, and that's where it really starts to pay off because you know what you start to build like a almost like a sequence in your head. Like, okay, when I go into this month, this is gonna happen. When I go into this month, this is gonna happen. And then what ends up happening is it almost becomes like automatic. Like you know a certain number of plays happening before that even happens. That's what guys like CDB usually do because those guys are always playing at high levels, so they're really like not bound to do many misplays at that point. So you kind of know at that point what kind of plays are possible, and you can make the most out of those turns. So definitely, I agree with Sarah. Start off conservatively. If you're in the back, you can make predictions, but in general, like just learn what the default switches into to certain mons in a tier and how people play around them, and then you can make advantage. You can take advantage of that once you get used to it. Yeah, I also agree. You should subscribe to the channel and ORAS Legacy League. Our server has not been that poppin' as of late, but we will get on that recently.
I'll
We
tell
are
them
in
that.
the process of building a website, and we will have a website with a bunch of teams. And we'll have basically a team database, and we'll
Yeah,
have a
I'll
bunch
check that
of
soon.
EV spreads. And basically, in the league, what happens is there's like gym leaders and stuff, so you can like fight each other and you can assert dominance if you like. And then there's also like a um what is it, victory road, like championship, so you can fight the elite four, become a champion, that stuff. So we're prepping for that right now. Not quite ready, but we hope to get it done in the next couple months. But yeah,
I
Stu.
heard the generators are pretty cute. I know a few of them.
All right, guys. I think we'll cut it here. Hope you liked the video, and we'll see you around for the next one. Peace.
Later.